I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots, and a sexy body full of tats.
All right. Cheers, sir. Thank you for coming and hanging out.
Thank you for having me over.
Of course. Oh, no. Friend has to come over. Whoop-de-doo. But, I mean, we've been talking about trying to get together for a long time, especially with, like, anime stuff. Oh, I forgot how much. It has a little bit of a burn to it.
It does.
Here, let me...
Rich flavor.
Let me adjust something for you. Come down just there. Right there. There you go.
Less nasally.
It's weird. It's the surprising change. Jeff also usually... I'm the only one who can sit under the desk, so that changes it. Everybody else have to sit away from the corner. So that's why we have the nice swivel arms. Either way. So, you're the first guest we've had on in a long time.
Okay.
Because the last person was Louis, and I was getting to know him anyways. So, like, the first person who's, like, very much not that much of a listener. Like, 'cause you only recently started listening, right?
Yeah.
Or, like, only just, like, one episode, probably.
Yeah, like I searched you all on YouTube.
Okay. Because I know that other Kevin is... he's only gone back to Star Wars Day. He's like, I'm not going back and listening to 170 podcasts or 140 podcasts. I was like, go back to about 78 and listen forward. That's when it gets good.
Yeah.
I was like, just wait until my old cast is gone and we have the new guys. That's when it gets good. It's an unfortunate but true joke. Because before it was a collecting... like more collector and nerd oriented. We still have some of the nerd stuff because we talk about movies and TV and things like that, but we're not focused on the buying toys aspect. So that's why, half of this room exists. But now we talk about a lot of pop culture, current state of the world and politics and things like that. So, but we don't delve too deep into it unless we have to. But like, right now, the world is kind of on fire, so it's already a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
We very much jokingly talked about World War III kicking off on Monday. But like
good timing.
Yeah. No, I mean we were.
Was that intentional or?
No. Yeah, we were intentionally talking about the fact that hey, look at that, Iran and Israel are blowing each other up right now. That's not good.
Yep.
But, I mean, it's not good for anybody. And then things have gotten messier in literally the last 3 days.
Right.
It's a mess regardless. But, like, I don't want to delve too much into that right now because we are talking about, I mean, I don't mind talking about hot topics. I mean, we're also, the name of the show is Now You Made It Awkward. So, it is what it is. Speaking of which, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a Now You Made It Awkward podcast extra. So this is not a full episode. This is a bit of an extra episode because I do have a guest here with me who wanted to come and join in. And he's not on camera right now, but he's raising the roof. So it's fine. He's over there giggling. And, of course, I am Shoki. You can follow me at all the Shoki-related links down below. We have the Shoki Reviews 2, or the It Doesn't Have to Make Sense live stream channel. But, of course, while you're there, just go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button here. Because we need more subscribers. We only got 129. We would have like 135, but I think I made like 6 people angry. It is what it is. You don't have to hold back. You can laugh out loud. It's fine.
Okay. I didn't know if I was muted or...
You're not muted.
Okay.
Everything is captured. It's fine.
Imagine that laughter in the background of your mic.
Yeah, so people want the promos for that and everything like that. And then, guys, of course, we are talking about Men's Mental Health Awareness Month right now, which is why... new friend over here and guest, Victor, if you want to look into the camera, say hi to the people.
Hello, everyone.
So I know Victor from church, so Real Life Ministries here in town. So we met there and we've connected over anime and other nerd culture, stuff like that. We haven't seen much of you guys actually at church.
Yeah.
But then again, you might have gone the week we were off. So that seems to happen. Like everybody's like, hey, man, where are you at this week?
Right.
And then it just so happens that we took off. Like last Sunday, we took off because I was in a... Not this previous, but the one before.
Yeah.
Because my back was killing me.
Okay.
I literally woke up and I was like, I can't move.
Like 2 passing ships in the night, just...
Kind of. Like, how many times Charlie has come to church and I missed him? Because he only comes on the Sundays I miss. So it's like, hey, I missed you at church.
Yeah, I haven't
like,
seen him in a while.
Yeah. But apparently we have new church building happening soon.
Oh.
So we have literally only 2... if everything goes right, we only have 2 more weeks at the current location.
Okay. Where's the new location?
They have not announced it because they're making sure.
Oh, gotcha.
I have an idea, and if it is the thing that I'm think it is, it's going to be very awkward for me. I'll talk about, well, I guess it doesn't matter if I tell you it here, but one of the places we were looking at was my old church to basically use on Sunday nights. And they did say it's going to be a Sunday night service now because it feels like a lot more people will make it instead.
Okay.
So, but either way,
are lining up.
Correct. So it'd just be a little bit awkward going to my old church, because there's a reason I don't go there anymore.
Well,
yeah.
This isn't awkward.
Yeah.
Or what's not to make it awkward.
What?
No, the name of the podcast.
The name of the podcast?
Yeah.
Is Now You Made It Awkward.
Now I made it awkward.
Yeah.
We're not going to real life ministries anymore.
Well, oh, you're not?
No.
Oh.
It's been, June? June 18th?
Today's June, yes. So wait, what are y'all doing now?
Let me think. It's been
Well, then we hadn't seen you.
5 months.
I think
since we've been.
Weren't y'all around near Easter?
No.
I thought you were. So wait, what are y'all doing now?
We go to another church.
Well, obviously.
Yeah.
Wait, which church? I'm going to go hunt it down now.
Yeah.
No, I'm just interested because, it would be weird if it was the church we're going to end up at.
Oh, no.
That would be weird.
Is it going to be in a shopping center?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, I think that one might have been a possibility.
Because I know that
But I
they
don't
had
know.
one service there at.
We had several services at that one
Oh, okay.
back when we first got started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was before.
Well, I mean,
I
that's.
joined.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's only extremely convenient for you guys.
It really is.
I mean,
it was a clutch. It was a big factor. I would say.
Yeah.
But no, we did. Well, little background for me, but my wife and I, we had a lot of church hopping experience in the Woodlands and Conroe.
Yeah.
And we did try that one, and since we did live down the street from it, it worked out pretty well. But
Yeah.
we're going to a
Church project.
Church project.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're still doing the thing you got to do.
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is. I can't judge you for it, but I just thought about it. I was like, well, the other thing is, I know some other people have left, but I don't know why they left because it seemed like there was a lot going on in their away from church life,
Right.
and that might have been the cause. I don't think it had anything to do specifically with us, obviously.
Yeah.
But they had a lot going on, like family members falling massively ill, and
Oh.
it was out of state. So I think that might have had more to do with it than anything. But I've not followed up with those people. But, that is kind of the problem with any church is, especially a new fledgling church, is really getting off the ground and finding people. But also this area is saturated.
Yes.
Like I know that it was put on James to start a new church here for reasons, I guess. I mean, God does what God does, right?
Right.
But this is already a massively saturated area, especially for big churches. I mean, I'm not a fan of big churches. I've done all the big churches locally. I like a small knit thing, and also coming in on the ground floor as it is
really.
makes a big difference. Not that I need to be in charge of anything. In fact, I hate being in charge of anything except for this show. But it's more of a thing that for me, being able to get to know people, not just jumping into a really big extravaganza and being another face in the crowd. Because I got used to going to a church that my absence wasn't even noticed. As when I just stopped going, I legit quit going for 2 weeks. And I said I wasn't going back until somebody calls to find out where I'm at. And then finally someone did.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, I'll go back because that person cared enough to figure out why I wasn't at church.
Right.
Because if I'm just a face in a crowd, that means I'm just dollar signs to whoever's in charge, and then I don't care anymore, which is why I was pretty jaded against going to church at all until we found real life.
Okay.
So, but also for the same reason, I probably wouldn't go to the big real life in Tomball because it is it's getting to mega church levels.
Oh, really? Oh,
Well,
congratulations.
it's at least super church. If you've ever seen the new one down in Tomball, it's massive. It's not a huge giant campus like Fellowship of the Woodlands. That's a campus.
Did they change to a new venue or?
They did. They built
okay.
a brand new massive. It is massive for a church. I mean, it's got I don't want to say arena status, not even close, but I mean it is.
It's up there.
It's one of the bigger small churches I've been to.
Okay.
If you want to,
that makes sense.
yeah. I mean, we're not talking 10,000 attendance or anything like that. We're talking a few hundred, at attendance, which is already impressive Like if you're managing that, that's good. But I mean, that's our sending church. I mean, like, but there's a reason I don't go over there for things. It's just
definitely.
I don't like the vibe of always coming in to feel like a stranger. It's like I could probably go there for 6 months and still not know anybody's name, or vice versa. But here, people are like, "Hey, why haven't you been to church?" Like, I got people bullying me. Like, "Where have you been?" It's like, okay, I'm coming. It's like, it was a bad week. Sorry, I'll be there. Like I got literally Andre checked on me today just to see how the week was going, because we're not doing men's group right now because we're taking a summer break.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, and then Andre and I have bonded a lot through men's group, because we basically, between me and him, we basically run the men's group at this point, and then James wanted to start it back up, but now that venue is going away, which is sad. And I talked to him about it Sunday. He's like, "Man, I'm mad about it." I was like, "Well, the thing is, if somebody buys Copperhead, nothing much will change except, the ownership. Because in theory, you'll be buying the brand, you'll be buying everything else, and then Seth is going to make the beer. He just doesn't want to manage it anymore. Basically, he's selling out the ownership, but he wants to keep making the beer. Or somebody's just going to buy it all whole and make it something else. Who knows? Either way.
Yep.
But that's the whole thing. But like that's what changed a lot for me was James, first of all, wanting to hold men's group at a brewery, not to mention my brewery that like I already hung out at. I was like, oh no, I have another night that I can go to the brewery. But also the fact that, as we were already kind of talking about, having a group of men to hang out with and talk to and bond with, which is like, that was a big thing for me because I had nobody. We had nobody. Like, as a couple, we didn't have friends anymore. Like, everybody left.
Yeah.
Everybody disappeared on us post-COVID. So joining the church ended up being like, okay, now we get social groups. Now we have people to hang out with, people who can help us. Basically, we were new. Everything was new, and that's when Jessica got in the car accident, and then those guys were there when we needed help. Just getting somebody to get Jessica to work. And then between Zach and Charlie, they took care of that. For a couple days until she started driving, even though she wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been a big thing. I mean, I don't fault anybody for moving on if it's not a fit for them. But if you're leaving because of the God end of it, that would be a bad thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm glad you guys found a place.
Yeah, it wasn't on any bad grounds or anything.
You guys were pretty much on a trial basis, moving around.
Well, I don't know. 1 year is a long trial, so there's nothing.
That's fair, yes.
I have nothing to critique or make this podcast about our experience, but I can share, a little bit about.
We're talking about our stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the show is, if nothing else, talking about ourselves.
Am I on a podcast right now?
This is a podcast right now. I did hit the record button. I did look down to make sure because I am known for accidentally not hitting the right button.
So yeah, it was no ill feelings towards anybody there at the church, and if anything, we are still continuing our relationships. I mean, I'm here right now. I mean, there's
you came and hang out because I reached
no
out.
animosity towards you. I saw your message about wanting to find men to speak about mental health, and took the opportunity.
So let me finish the promos real quick, and then we'll talk more about you specifically, so people can understand who you are at all. Like just some dude sitting in Heffy's chair today. So guys, of course, if you want to reach out to the show, you can do so at nowyoumade.it@gmail.com. That's the email to connect to us. But also, if you want to go ahead and follow the Facebook, that's Now You Made It Awkward podcast on Facebook. There you can actually send in voice messages or text messages or just comments in general if you want to get a hold of the show. Normally, this isn't a normal show, but normally we'd have Sean send in a voice message because he's a good friend of the show, pretty much one of my best friends, and one of the founders of this podcast, but he doesn't live here. But that's how I kept him involved in the show, is him sending in messages every week. So it's not just for Sean. Everybody else can do it. But also you can follow us on Instagram now at NYMIA_pod. That's where I post stuff related to the podcast instead of just my IG, where it was getting really confusing. It's like, is this my personal IG? Is this for the show? Is this for my reviews? What is this at this point? So I'm like, okay, we're start prying things apart. It's fine. But you don't have like a public persona out there, right? Like,
no.
Okay.
My wife and I, we stream, have a YouTube, few videos, but nothing.
Do you?
Mega.
Okay.
Not even a grain of rice.
Oh yeah.
Maybe like a half end crumb, if anything.
Like on YouTube or on Twitch?
YouTube and Twitch, yeah.
Okay, gaming, I'm assuming.
Gaming and anime, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, plug it. I mean, if you got something to plug it. I don't care. I'll put it on the screen.
Bean and Potato, Twitch, and
Bean and Potato.
Yes, sir.
Which one's which?
I am Bean, and my wife is Potato.
That sounds racist for some reason.
Hey, it is. Hey, it's not. It is what it is. What can I say?
You said it, not me. It's fine. Look. The show is named Now You Made It Awkward. You can just talk shit if you want. And I do cuss, so I'll try not to do so much. I don't know.
No worries.
I don't know how you feel about such things, but
hey, this is your rodeo, man. You run it.
It is, but I also like to respect people if they don't enjoy such things. Like if you go and listen to like the entire podcast between me and James, like I think I say like 2 cuss words.
Oh, right.
But if you listen to a standard podcast, it's like F-bombs constantly.
Oh, James is on here. Oh,
Yeah, James has been on here twice.
Oh,
Andre's
okay.
been on here once. And the rule is if you come on the show at least twice, you can join the Awkward Offenders. That's our superhero group.
Oh, okay.
So you pick your own superpower, but the dice determines the negative offset of that power. So if you come back again, you can join if you want.
Gotcha. Okay.
There's no benefits to it. It's just for funsies, unless we somehow set up some kind of weird role-playing game with those characters.
Yeah, I could see that. Members only.
Thought about it.
D&D night, maybe? Oh.
So I didn't talk about this. I meant to talk about it. I had a friend trying to bully me into joining his D&D campaign because he had 3 people technically leave.
Oh, wow.
And
Exodus.
yeah. Well, just not everybody's got 4 hours to kill on Saturday night after 8 p.m. You know, and nothing against it. I mean, I was interested. Plus, I wanted to kind of support him a little bit. And I've always dabbled in the idea of doing D&D.
Yeah.
But knowing myself, if I'm not a dungeon master, I'm probably not going to have fun because the playing aspect of the game doesn't interest me. The story aspect of it probably does, which is so I went through the whole like beginning level of just character creation. And I'm just like, okay, this is already more than I even wanted to invest. And then I told him, I'm like, buddy, I'm just not. I'm like, I'm not into it. It's already going to be difficult, and I definitely can't commit to it. Like, it'd be one thing if I came and watched y'all do it for a little bit, but it's like, I don't know if I can manage it, man. I've had, like, several friends throughout the decade try to get me to join their D&D stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can.
You crushed their hearts, huh?
No, not really, but it's just like, it's one thing if, like, I had a better understanding of it, but I also feel like with my obsessive-compulsive creativeness, I would probably only want to sorry, I forgot to mute my stuff. My buddy is messaging me about Tucker Carlson getting roasted right now on Twitter.
Ooh.
Over the whole Ted Cruz interview, and he's attacking Trump and everything else, like the politics, blah 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 blah. But I also should have muted my phone to begin with, so that's bad on me.
Sounds good to get into.
Not today. I don't have time for all that today. I'm trying to stay out of all that mess.
You're trying to get out of the fire.
Look, I try to stir the pot a little bit, but otherwise not, you know. I do like talking real politics and stuff like this on the show, but I also understand that not everybody appreciates that, and we probably don't have strictly like more conservative leaning listeners, but maybe we do. I don't know. But I try to say, at least from what I see, and try to take as moderate of a position as I can on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about Pride Month earlier before we got rolling. And Pride Month itself is kind of coming to an end as a corporate thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Like no stores are doing Pride Month stuff.
Oh.
Like back in the day where the posters and all the rainbow stuff
the
up
flyers.
front. And like I've got 2 mothers-in-law. Because Jessica was raised by lesbians, effectively.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that. Don't consider myself homophobic in any way. It's the other end of the acronyms that tend to cause more problems than just straight up gay people. So it's a problem only when they get violent, I guess. You know, the problem of intolerant tolerance. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you've tolerated something so far that you've literally lost the plot. And then things start getting too crazy and violent for like no reason. You know what I mean? That's where I think we were headed for like a long time. And then like now it's like, okay, let's back off all of this. We like Let's pull things back towards the middle a bit. It's like we went way too far to one side. It's like, let's just find the balance in the middle where life wants to be in the first place, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we had too many extremes, you know what I mean? In, well, everything. We're nothing but extremes at this point. Everything seems extreme. That's why we're like World War III and Civil War II at the same time right now, right? It's crazy. Like I said, didn't want to get into politics, but that's just what, that was on my mind. I was just be like, yes, that's a thing that's sort of gone down it. But dude, if I was somebody who relied on living on the internet right now, like I do live on the internet way too much.
Right.
If I relied on it for money, I could see myself being driven crazy by just trying to keep up with the news right now.
Oh yeah.
Dude, like
there's too much information coming out at one time.
And it's all crazy and it's all too much. Like I don't know how anybody who has to do that is keeping a balance, like an actual right? Like there's one guy I follow and I like him for the most part, but he is going crazy. And I'm just like, dude,
who is it?
Luke Rudkowski.
Okay.
He's a Polish
Oh.
A Polish guy who came here to the US to basically start a whole new thing, and he's a podcaster, news guy, stuff like that, but tends to be more libertarian.
Okay.
Which, nothing against libertarians, but some of them
I would say for either party there's radicals, extremists.
Oh well, yeah, 100% on both sides. And then in the middle, like somehow there's extreme moderates, and I don't even understand how that works. Up is like is it do you go up with your moderate leaning? I don't know.
I didn't know about the sales going away, but
it's just they're not making a giant thing of it anymore. There's not a huge upfront. I mean, I think they pushed too far with like, and I know it was overblown in the news, but like the tuck friendly bathing suits for kids.
What is that, tuck friendly?
For hiding things.
Oh.
Yeah.
For kids. Oh.
Yeah. So that was last year. That was last summer. People lost their minds.
Oh, man.
So when things got pushed too far, it's like, okay, hold on. Now, mind you, once again, I say it was overblown before anybody starts jumping down my throat. They were not pushing it, but it was available. But then the whole Pride Month stuff was right up front as soon as you walked in. And then that stuff was all mixed in the mix. People, like, sort of Karens, but not really Karens. Conservative Karens, I guess, if you want to go there. Basically raised hell, and then they actually moved all the Pride stuff to the back by the holiday section.
Okay.
Over in the back corner of the, which actually, that's where all the summer stuff should be anyways, for the most part. So, I mean, I'm not against that. And people were reasonably happy with them just basically not being in your face about it. Not to make an old Family Guy Star Wars movie joke.
Yeah, I'm really not up to date with a lot of politics
and that's fine. Not everybody
pop
is.
Culture and like what's going on, what's hot. Yeah. My source of news is a streamer and YouTuber.
And that's fine. And that is totally fine. I don't expect everybody to be on top of it because that means you're more normal than me. Now, mind you, I don't even get my news from like normal, like quote unquote news sources. I'm not watching any one particular news section. I'm watching mostly moderate to slightly left leaning podcasters who read the news all day. And then sometimes some right wing people just so I can hear if they're going crazy or not. And I'm just like, okay, you've gone too far. I know I'm closer to the middle. If I'm not agreeing with you and I know you're a right wing person and I don't agree with you, I know I'm way closer to the middle than it is what it is. I used to call myself a Republicrat before I realized moderate was even a thing. I'm not as crazy as a lot of libertarians are when it just means like ultimate freedom over anything. It's like freedom over everything. It's like, nope, we still need laws and a lot of other stuff to keep things together. But if you're alone in the woods, yes, I agree with you. Big thumbs. By the way, guys, we have new merch. I forgot to push that again. We do have new merch, 0 days from last awkward incident. So I need to get that shirt made. And I think I'm going to be switching merch stores. Not since we're talking about Target. Teespring has been letting me down, but I heard about a new merch website that I might be switching over to. They reached out to me. They're like, "Hey, we know a lot of people are upset with Teespring. Why don't you come check us out?" I'm like, okay.
Which vendor is it?
Fourth Wall. I believe. So I'm going to check them out. I'm going to see what their prices are and their percentages and stuff like that. But apparently they also include like promotion and stuff like that. So we'll see. So it might be both. It might be a little bit of a marketing agency and a merch producer. I'll look into it more before I make any real decisions. But we do have the 0 days since last awkward incident merch up. I need to get myself a new mug. I thought about actually having, because Chad has a print shop, but he doesn't do shirts anymore. But I thought about having, like, buying a whole, like, in bulk, buying a bunch of dry erase boards and then, like, having the rest of it printed on it. So you just write in the number of days instead of having it to 0. So everybody can just have a dry erase board of last day since awkward incident. You know, just from our texting back and forth over the last couple of days, I know you're a very awkward individual.
I am.
So
thank you.
This is you're gonna fit right in, I think.
Okay.
So now when when Jeff is here, you'll probably fit in less. But when Chad is here, we can talk anime and stuff. That's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like, because Jeff doesn't care about anime or animated stuff and stuff like that. Huh. He's barely into pop culture, but he's pushing more now because he's coming into the real world, as it were. He's lived too much in his own head, isolated away from everything, very hermited. So him like catching up, like literally catching up on like the MCU and stuff, because he missed like most of that.
Yes.
So we're pushing him into pop culture so that he can see what the world is like, as it were. Okay, so let's learn a little bit about you, Victor.
Yes.
Okay, so how old are you?
30.
30? Okay, wow.
Yep, dirty 30.
Made me feel really old really fast.
No.
Yeah.
It's about the heart inside.
It's true. It's true. I knew you weren't quite my age. I didn't know you were that young. You're not the youngest. You might be the youngest person to ever come on the show. Now that I think about it. Who? No, nobody in their 20s has ever come on that I can
You just missed me last month. I would have been 29.
Oh, damn. Well, you know.
Oh, well.
You're busy.
Can't win them all.
You're busy changing churches. Either way. But, okay. So, and you are in the healthcare field.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I'll just say you're in the healthcare field. And apparently also a patient of my wife's doctor.
Yes.
How's that going, by the way? I know you went in and started the process.
Yeah. So I'm going to have, I'll have my equipment next week. I'll pick it up.
Okay.
I have by Friday to turn it back in. And
that's the
sleep
testing
study.
So you're doing this at home?
Yeah, at home sleep study.
Lucky you. I had to do the in.
Oh, really?
In office.
The doc was thinking low, if anything.
Dude, with your hair. Oh, wait, no, you're doing the at home study. So you don't have to do the stuff glued to your head.
Oh.
Dude, they literally, it's little wax balls, then that's how they attach the nodes to your head. With your hair, that might be why they did an at home study. Either that or your apnea is not that bad, so we'll see.
Yeah, he has low suspicion that I have apnea, but I just rather be safe than sorry.
I mean, what was crazy was when Jessica's was determined to be less than mine. I was like, how? I was like, have you heard her snore? Oh. How? It was like, how is her sleep apnea less than mine? That makes no sense. So mine's moderate, hers is light.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but also apparently I've had it my entire life and nobody told me.
Oh.
And it would have been great to be on a CPAP in my 20s.
Did anybody ever wake you up like, hey?
No, I slept alone most of my life, so I didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
But I used to sleep fine. Apparently not.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so either way.
I remember throughout my years sleeping.
All 30 of them.
Prone, which in medical terms is laying.
Prone? Really?
Is laying on your belly.
On your belly, yeah.
And, well, I have a deviated septum too. You may hear some nose whistling.
Oh, I see it a little bit.
And
on the right side or left side?
Left side, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
And I remember multiple times of waking up, freaking out, couldn't move.
Yeah.
And it was because I was suffocating myself. I would cover up the good nostril.
Yeah. Well, you don't know any different.
And I didn't know. I didn't know that I had that for so long. And then I flipped over, I guess. But now I'm getting it looked at. And
so I used to do it too, but I would do the one arm under the head, other arm out, and then like on one knee, like kind of like not totally flat, but like one knee up, other leg straight, like you're doing like an army crawl.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so basically, army crawl lay is really what
it
was basically. That's how I used to sleep when I was by myself, and then even for the first couple of years we were together before I got to the point where I needed a CPAP, and I'm just like, I can't. Every now and then I will lay like that, and it's like I'm dying. Like it's like I don't know. I'm sure it has to do with the fact I put on so much weight in the last few years, which makes it very hard to sleep on my belly. It makes it hard to sleep on my left side because I have digestive issues and it builds up right through here. So like I have to take stuff to move things through effectively.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so I had issues when I was a baby, and they're coming back to me after I turned 40. So,
40, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
You look very young.
Damn young.
You
kids.
fooled me.
Thanks. Either way, it's fine. It's fine. I'll take it. It's good. I mean, I have a lot of gray in the beard, which is ridiculous. I saw this side when I shaved the other day. I was like, oh my God. It's like, this is like.
Is that new?
It's gotten way more.
Oh.
It's like, it used to be a little bit, but now it's like, holy crap.
I thought you were more clean shaven other than the middle.
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
I've kept the chin straps for the most part.
It's been a while.
mean, like a couple years ago, I like really grew everything out, like because I was going for like a Viking look for when we went to the Renaissance.
Oh, nice.
So I had my hair longer, I slicked it back, and then grew the beard way down to here and stuff like that, and then got so sick of that.
Yeah, I wish I could grow a beard.
Dude.
Can't even grow a stub.
Look, be happy because with the CPAP, you're going to want that clean. Trust me.
Let's seal, yeah.
Okay, so you're just doing the base test.
Yeah. Haven't done anything else. Well, I'm going to have some nasal reconstruction surgery.
Okay.
They're going to do a few things in there. The main issue, which...
Are they going to do sinuplasty or are they going to go in and do things?
Yeah, sinuplasty, the Vivair, and then...
okay.
So this is news to me when I saw the ENT was... He said I have a supermassive adenoid, which in medical terms, we don't say large, big, loosely.
Yeah.
And he said supermassive, and I was like, oh.
So I need to go to an ENT because I had my adenoids removed when I was a kid, and I think that I either have a supermassive one or something's going on back there because there's something between my nasal passages and my soft palate that feels really strange, especially once I start snoring.
Yeah.
And also it's why I have a weird speech impediment that I have to actively talk around because of my adenoids. So I had those removed when I was super young, so I don't even remember it.
Yeah.
But like, I think that they need to go back in and check. And I hadn't been to an ENT since I was like 8.
Oh, okay.
So I should probably do that, and it would probably help a lot, especially at night, because I doubt I have as many sinus problems as I actually have versus an adenoid issue. Also, I should probably get my tonsils removed just for funsies because I still have those.
Okay.
Because there was one year I had such a bad infection that my tonsils were so swollen they were touching my uvula. And I was
quite enlarged.
I was trying to cough up my own tonsils and I didn't know that's what was tickling my throat. Yeah, that sucked.
That's unfortunate.
It's okay. They threw me on some like a Z-Pack and it went down.
Okay.
Fine. You're a medical guy. It's fine. Well, having Jessica work in a doctor's office is very useful when we have minor things come up. It's just like sending a Z-Pack real quick,
Oh, nice.
Some erythromycin, just I don't even know if I ever say that word right. I know it's in my head, but okay. So you're in the medical field. How long you been doing that?
I just hit my 5 years, and it's okay. I'm a registered nurse, so I work in ICU, but it's at hospital. I'd imagine hospital, but
because you changed jobs last year, end of last year, or moved to a new.
It was I think was it a year or 2 years ago? I can't remember.
It feels like it was last year because you were still active.
Yeah, it was a year ago. Yeah, it was in May. I changed from like a specialty to like medical. So neuro to medical.
Okay. Okay.
So want to get real
more broad stuff.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, from specialty. So.
Yep.
So. Okay, how you liking that since the change?
Oh, I love it.
Is it easier or just less stress?
It has its days, but the cup is filled now. Before, the cup was getting drained every day, every shift. Now it's getting refilled. So
interesting.
It has its. For me, it fills my cup up. It's rewarding.
What made you want to go into neuro?
No, it was not by choice.
Oh,
so that's a part of the. I gave it a good shot. I was there for a year.
Okay.
That year. That's a good marker for me. I dedicated a year to it. I didn't leave right away like most people did.
Okay.
And I really, persistent and trying to learn and just.
So you literally gave it all the college try.
I gave the best shot I could, and it just wasn't for me, and that's okay. I mean, I appreciate the people that do.
I mean, yeah.
that do like it, but they did the old bait and switch, pull the rug under you, and that was unfortunate. But
Yeah, that does suck.
But-
was that at a different hospital? Or
no,
one?
same hospital. They
Okay.
they expanded, and
Oh, okay.
they tried doing a second medical, but that didn't work out. So then they switched it to a second neuro floor, and then some people stayed. It's thriving now. I mean, I have one of my friends. He's like in charge over there, and they're doing well.
That's good.
They're really
In the neuro wing.
cultivating together. So, but for me, I'm happy just where I'm at.
And that's good. That is really key, because like you were talking about, is now you're filling up the cup instead
Yes.
of emptying it every day, and that is a lot of the mental and physical stress. Because I remember, I can see a difference in you, because I don't see you every day. You know, seeing you week to week or through church events, like you've looked very different.
Yes.
Back then,
Yes.
comparatively.
There's a few things. I mean, I don't know if we're jumping right into the mental health, but I will say
jump.
that it was very draining personally, professionally, and I didn't realize that I had underlying issues that were a part of it, but no.
Well, we're going to touch on that here in a minute.
But being more aware of the whole situation, yes, I feel renewed. And
So let me ask, what was the draining part of it for you in the neuro area?
well, for me personally, not for everybody, but there's how should I say this? Outcomes that are favorable and not favorable with patients, and in neuro, sometimes the most successful outcome still has its recovery process. And if neuro, you think like stroke, for example, you have
Sure.
a supermassive stroke. We're lucky you're alive, but your life is really turned upside down and inverted and different planet almost, really.
I'm very aware. My mother has had many. Many.
So for me, that's different forte, you know. There's
Well, I mean, I guess I could see it as, so like you're talking about there, you might be able to help the initial issue when it comes to the neurological disorder, but there might still be a long-lasting suffering after the fact.
yes, and don't get me wrong, Shoki,
You can call me Kevin. It doesn't matter.
Kevin.
Don't call me Kev.
Oh.
It's fine. Like I learned, like I used to be very stringent about it, but now it's mostly like it's the worst kept secret on the internet.
No worries.
But it's fine. A lot of people think about it, but Shoki's fine. It doesn't matter.
You know, don't get me wrong. I've seen it where patients come back on their own free will and say, "Look at me," and we're like, "Wow!"
Yeah.
Years or
A real-
many months later, right?
A success.
Right. And then for me, in my day-to-day job, that's not what I'm going to see.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still going to see them wherever they're at in their recovery with a lot of deficits, I would say.
Yeah.
And for me, that compared to medical, where I always say you get better quicker or you expire quicker, like it goes one way or the other. But for the most part,
Total win or total loss.
yeah, for the most part,
Versus ongoing, like the way I see it, the way you're explaining it. You can correct me if I'm wrong,
Go
but
for
it's like I said, it's like you had a stroke. Obvious horrible things right off the bat. We got to get you stabilized. We got to figure out what your deficits might be. Maybe left side, right side's paralyzed, whatever, vision loss, whatever. The win is that the person is still alive, but now you have a battle that you won, but now you've got a very long war of recovery.
right.
And a lot of times, speaking from my mother's experience, it's a war of attrition.
Oh yeah,
Forever, because now she's at a permanent deficit, gone through therapy, but then another stroke, another heart attack, all of that. So now we've got, okay, what are the new deficits? It's like at no point did it feel in the last few years of my mom, okay, she's still alive. None of it feels like a win because every little thing that happens leaves her less. Like she's still kicking, but not, it's like the quality of life is getting worse. Now, there was even with my dad with his dementia and Alzheimer's and stuff like that. That's all like just it's a steady slope downhill, and eventually I know there's going to be a cliff. Every now and then, he's pretty good. Like when I was over there on Father's Day, decent, but I've seen it get real bad. So I mean, if I'm off base in that assumption that like there's not a lot of winning when it comes to the neuro versus medical, where like you said, you have a definitive outcome one way or the other for the most part. You fix the person up or they're dead.
Yeah, I would say that.
You kind of have it's not a full coin toss, but you actually have a definitive side.
Oh, yeah.
Versus it spinning on the table.
And don't get me wrong, most people that do come in have underlying medical issues, so their baseline may be different, but you can't deny whether it's small, whether it's big, whether it's lethal, a stroke is life-changing. And to me, personally, right, it's the same thing. People ask, oh, I'm so glad you do what you do, which, thank you. I don't take it any further because I give credit, extra kudos to pediatric nurses, pediatric ICU, neonatal ICU, because
bro, talk about not being able to do it.
I could not do that. Working with children, like,
dude,
it tears my heart apart just sitting here.
And or dying kids. Like the children's cancer ward has to be the biggest reward and worst negative outcomes. Like, oh no, I can't cure this child, and we have to prepare this child for death. I was like, no, I couldn't. No, it's like, and that's gotta, like, I know because my niece went through that. Like her second son had cancer young. I think he had, I believe it was some form of leukemia, and it was rough, super rough. But he actually excelled at treatment. Like finished a bit early. Has had, nice. As far as I know, no, what's the word?
Like compromise?
Well, nothing's come back. What's the word?
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Well, he's been in remission the whole time, but the other word that when it returns, like whatever, nothing's ever come back, and he's thriving, like super thriving, and had like even through the worst chemo and everything, like kept a positive attitude, kept moving forward in life. And she was a nurse, like going through nursing school and everything at that point. So like also like knowing all this stuff and then watching your own kids suffer and then dealing with other things and training, and it was horrible, but got through it, and he's a super strong kid, you know. And he did amazing when he rang the bell and all that. But so now you're in the medical and things are better overall.
Yes.
Do you make good money?
I make a good living for myself, Excellent. Like if it were by myself.
If it's by yourself, okay. Now I don't want to get into numbers. I'm just asking because that is part of it too. Because like with my job, there's a lot of physical and sometimes mental suffering. And for the longest time, there was like no good payout for it. So it's like, you're going to make a lot of money soon, but right now you're suffering for not quite enough money every single day. And I didn't talk about this this month so far, but in my job, like you talked about the cup being empty, bro. And we were talking earlier out there about how bad 2012, 2013 was. Yeah. That was the end of my rope, like in the literal sense. Like I wanted to die, and I lost everything. My health was in the toilet, my mental health, my soul, everything was gone. Like just and that's one reason it cost me everything. The reason I lost my relationship was my cup was empty. I would get off of an 8-10 hour day, however long, of suffering, not want to deal with the world at all. And if I went to my girlfriend's house, I was in a bad mood or tired, didn't want to go anywhere, didn't want to do anything, had a short temper, everything. Because I also didn't realize how much I was suffering, period.
Right.
You know, and not that I've ever been an alcoholic, but I was definitely drinking more than with my friends and everything else like that. But, and then me basically being completely emotionally unavailable, mentally checked out on everything, you know, going to work just to collect a paycheck and coming home just to not be at work.
Yeah.
That cycle, you know, that took a toll on everything. And was there a point that you kind of hit that?
Yes. And I mean, to kind of go off what you were saying, the awareness to know that you were in a slump is huge. And I can't
A rut was the big word.
speak from, I guess, like personal experience, like going all the way through, or, you know, I have, so quote unquote, like, I don't want to say happy ending, but, you know, a breakthrough, like, come up. But some people, they don't find that awareness, or they get stuck in the cycle of addiction or despair or whatever, and life moves on, and their hole gets deeper. But
100%.
but that's huge that I was able, and you were able, to realize this situation isn't good. And yes, I was able to get that, and it took a lot of therapy. My personal relationship with my wife was not good. My personal life with what I was doing when I was home was not good. And this was even before I started. You know, the switch had been 1 year ago, but this has been, I would say, a buildup of many years of negative coping skills that I had.
Okay, like what?
Escapism.
Okay, yeah.
So
we've talked about that this
just
month.
Straight up just binge watching, binge playing
video games.
And that was me so this was during COVID 2020 when I graduated as a new nurse. I worked night shift. The best time
to be a new nurse. Hey, would you like to have the worst pandemic since 1900? We've got that, or 1812, whatever it was. We've got that for you.
Yeah, it was a little bit rough, and I had worked night shift, and I had never worked night shift in my life, and I had never worked 12, 13 hours, being generous, ever.
So it broke up your sleep pattern and your length of work that you were even used to doing.
Yes.
So everything about it would total flip in your brain.
It was different. And I mean, if people have worked night shift and understand that there's like a mental fog when you're awake at night, it's weird.
Your brain doesn't do right.
Yeah, it was scary. I was so nervous going to work. I mean, some of it is, new grad, people can get hurt, but also just I'm not thinking clearly, and I'm over here doing things. So it was a little bit...
that explains so much about Jeff. Because he works nights.
Oh, yeah.
He only works overnights.
And now switching to day shift, it was a big change. But
when I saw the sun, that was nice.
When I was working, I knew the health risk or how would you say, like the damage that working night shift can do. Mm-hmm. So the least I could do was to not flip my schedule back and forth. So
people who do the swing shifts.
Yeah,
dude, they some people can do it. Like they don't they don't have a normal circadian rhythm, but like there are people who can manage going back and forth. But even when I worked at Walmart and they switched me back and forth between opening and closing, that messed me up. Like having to be up early one day, closing the next, and then having to be up early the next day. I was like, that was one of the worst weeks, and I quit Walmart shortly after that.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It was horrible, man. And mind you, that was only like closing at 9 and then having to open at like 5:30. But that's like going to bed at midnight almost and being up at 4.
Yeah.
Basically like a 4 to 5 hour turnaround and then having to work all day in the heat or cold, whichever.
Yeah.
I don't remember when that happened realistically. That would have been, that probably was cold now that I think about it, because I started my current job in April.
Okay.
So I would have still been working basically springtime, so it would have been nice and cool, but I would have been dealing with some of the nonsense. Because my first day of my current job was my last day at Walmart.
Oh.
Like literally, like I came in for orientation, I drove back to Walmart, wrote a horrible note telling off my supervisor, said I'm never coming back, I'll drop off the uniforms, and I'll get my last paycheck whenever, and you suck. You are half the reason this department sucks. I literally told him in that note. I taped it to the door. And I left because I went there before open.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good surprise.
Yep. Good surprise. But yeah, no, I that part I totally understand, because I also came from working late nights delivering pizza. So I'd be up until, we'd be closing at 11, getting off at midnight after close and everything else like that's being up till 1 o'clock in the morning. That's also when I got fat initially, because I was eating pizza.
Yeah. The other thing, pizza, staying up at night.
Yeah. It's weird like how those two things go hand in hand. I wonder why there's a lot of overweight pizza delivery drivers.
Uh-huh.
That's why. So back to you, not just to make everything.
Oh, no worries.
But I'm associating with that switch there.
Yeah. So I had gotten married in the middle of working at my old job, different hospital, different location. But, certain things were working, but certain things were continuously just going downhill. And I know now what it was. It's dysthymia. That's the diagnosis that I have.
Which is?
Dysthymia is depression, but little baby depression. And it's not swinging back and forth. It's just it's like general depression disorder, but little bit, not as much.
So it's not quite generalized anxiety disorder.
Or not anxiety, I meant depression, sorry.
No, I said anxiety.
Oh, okay.
I said it's not that, because that part I understand, generalized anxiety, because I think Jessica has a little bit of that, along with, me edit this out, little bipolar B in there, I believe is what she was diagnosed with. So that's why she deals with stress poorly. But I never got diagnosed with depression. I just know for a fact I was massively depressed.
Yeah.
Possibly still am, but I've never gone to therapy so much as just talked my problems through with people like doing this. So continue. Sorry.
It's
dysthymia.
Dysthymia.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to look it up. I didn't have. Well, I mean, he told me, my psychiatrist told me what it was. But long story short, I was doing some counseling, a lot of counseling and therapy, and my therapist told me try to do ADHD or ADD testing, and so I went to somebody to get evaluated for testing, and he said, no, we're gonna start you on this antidepressant and anxiety, low dose, and see how you do. And lo and behold, yeah, I'm better, I guess.
I mean, like, now that I look at it, so
What's it say?
The Google definition: a mild but long-term form of depression. Dysthymia is defined as low mood occurring for at least 2 years, along with at least 2 other symptoms of depression. Examples of symptoms include lost interest in normal activities, hopelessness, low self-esteem, low appetite, low energy, sleep changes, poor concentration, which basically sounds like being an overnight nurse. I mean, like, let's be fair, that is literally the definition of being an overnight nurse.
Yeah, you could say that.
Especially if you're like emergency care.
I would say that working night shift really pushed me over the edge, I guess. It wasn't so abrupt, but just gradual.
So do you think that pre-existed?
The dysthymia, I think from a young age, as early as I can remember, is just feeling down in the dumps. I mean, when you look at depression, or if you look at, in general, children developing, there's that nature versus nurture. You heard that theory before?
Sure.
I mean,
doesn't apply to everything, but it applies to many things.
I think that my environment may not have been the best at mental health, and I think that's something that now is more widely accepted and more widely promoted, the awareness in itself of mental health.
Okay.
But I did feel like my parents, I have nothing but kind words and love for them, but it was more of we're going to give you what you need. And especially in Hispanic culture, mental health doesn't exist. It's a negative.
You're Hispanic. Okay.
Yeah, it's a negative.
Sorry, I just said.
And it was just kind of like swept under the rug. So I just stayed in my video games, just stayed doing that, got into drugs and alcohol at a very early age.
Oh, really?
Which I'm thankful for, believe it or not, because, well, thankfully, thank you God that I had never had anything life-changing happen to me, like hurt anybody or get arrested.
How young are we talking?
Like 14.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like 8. I mean, 14 is, I hate to say it, is way too common. It is absurdly common, but I mean, so if you don't mind me asking, then what was the kind of home situation that led to that? Was it just a rough home? Was it neglect?
My parents just worked a lot. There wasn't anything that was like, there was no abuse. There was no like self-harm or lack of food, but I don't know.
General neglect. Like you were left alone?
I would say emotional needs, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know.
No, see, I totally understand. No, that's why I was asking, because basically, like, my dad was there because he retired at 55. Mm-hmm. My dad was done raising kids at 55. I was the baby, way late, My mom still worked. Shit, I don't even know how long. When she retired after. She retired from her like third job after I graduated high school. Like well after I graduated high school, and then took on another job even after that. So my mom just worked forever. My dad, I mean,
He's done.
my dad worked plenty. Don't
dues.
get me wrong. I mean, there's a 20 years age difference, so it makes sense that that's how things worked out. But I mean, so she was hardly home. She got home super late usually. 'Cause she worked in downtown Houston as she had a professional job working for the light company. In an office, not making sure the power lines were good. That was my uncles. My uncles did that. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to the linemen out there who keep our power on. Nobody understands how important they are. But basically, like I raised myself. TV and movies raised me. And then when I finally got to have friends when we moved out to this area, and I developed a whole new friend culture, started school, that changed a lot. But basically, like, I wasn't really raised by anybody. I mean, I was taught stuff, went to school, but I mean, I learned life skills and things like that. But basically, it was like my dad was there, but like I was an only child, basically just playing video games and watching TV and hanging out with my friends, riding bikes, whatever.
Yeah.
Coming up with my own stories just to keep myself entertained. But there was nobody there, which is probably why I have issues with abandonment, because basically it's like my parents existed. But I mentioned it the other week. I don't remember really being hugged or anything as a kid, or maybe when I was like little and like being held and like a kiss on the forehead or whatever, that kind of stuff. But like all like the touchy feely parent stuff, I didn't have that. Like the fact that I have any kind of that I can have physical connection with people, like hugging and like being like physically attached and stuff like that to people is I'm amazed that I managed to develop those skills despite basically not having them for most of my young life, and also growing up alone. Did you have siblings or anything? Or
one sibling? She's 5.5 years older than me.
Okay, so around, but like gone early enough.
I would say probably when my mental health, well, I don't know if you, it is, I would say addiction's mental health.
Yeah, a little bit.
Illicit drug use and stuff. And
I mean, like, okay, so you mentioned alcohol and drugs at 14.
Yeah.
Was that when you were like full on into it, or just when you started it?
Started it, but the mindset was just, I'm looking for the next thing. Like,
of course,
it was like a detour, like school.
And was that for escapism, you think? Or
I think so, yeah. I would say.
I mean, I figured most.
It was that, and also like chasing after women too, like women. They're girls. Come on, in high school. I mean,
look. I mean, there's some high schools where teachers are welcoming 14-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's always been around. Not that that's okay.
It's not okay, but I will say that there's some of the teachers that it happens with is not okay. The teachers I wish it would have happened with. You know what I mean? Look, I've mentioned it on this channel before. It's like we had some hot teachers in my junior high years. I've been like, hey, I would have been on board if they weren't worried about their careers. Anyway, so let's back to your addiction problems. So, like, and you know what's really funny? I would never have had like substance abuse. I've never had an issue with. My addiction comes in the form of stuff. I don't know if you noticed.
The room we're in.
Yeah. So I talked about it for the last couple of weeks, but I refer to this as my monument to my loneliness. Mm-hmm. So only child, basically neglected, not uncared for, just left to his own devices. Right. I find my connection to things in things. You just happen to find an escape in alcohol and drugs.
Yeah.
Either that's or also social needs. You talk about chasing women, so to speak. I mean, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mansfield, Texas.
Oh, okay. I know roughly where that's at.
It's near Arlington. So the mindset, it's whether, I mean, high school, but the mindset, it's not good. It's.
Was it more small town back then, or was it still?
Yeah, I would say back then it's only been growing, but it was very small. I would say in my elementary school, I was the only Hispanic kid. in my class.
In Mansfield, you were the only. Okay.
In my like classroom,
Yeah,
or
that's
maybe
so
if we're in PE, you know, or recess, like maybe there's like one or two more.
Yeah.
So Mansfield, today I learned, it's the last city in Texas to desegregate.
Going back to Juneteenth.
Juneteenth is tomorrow, everyone.
Oh yeah.
So there, and I will say, you know, going back to the, you know, a lot of people, depending on your outlook or how you were raised and what you learn, I guess, they would say what we're talking about, what I struggled with, oh, it was way worse in my time. Oh,
What's all perspective?
right. And that's another thing too that I've talked to my wife about a few times is it's all relative. The what is it? The Barbie complaining about there's no luxury option. Well, my goodness, if she's never had any kind of struggle, that can be her world falling apart.
You
know,
know,
perspective.
Yeah. So I actually heard a thing about this that totally rings true, and I never heard it put this way. The worst thing you've ever been through is the worst thing you've ever been through.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's like I don't need to measure your suffering versus mine. We do that all the time, but it might literally be like you running out of the right nail polish. You know, going back to the Barbie thing. Literally running out of the exact right pink nail polish might be literally the worst thing you've ever gone through. That seems completely, utterly, and trivial and stupid, but it is an emotional breakdown for somebody who's never been there.
It's all perspective.
It's
and
perspective.
I think back, I would like to say back then, because I'm being honest, Kevin, if you think that mental health has been more popular 20 years ago, I don't think so, right? 20, 30 years ago?
I would say it skipped a couple generations because we got rid of asylums, for one. Thanks, Reagan. We got rid of asylums for helping people deal with things or making sure that people were getting any kind of care instead of being on the street. Then we went through the 80s and 90s, which basically people said, mental health, what's that? Just be cool, you know, and then the drug use was massively illegal and then slowly started coming back as a thing, like, you know, weed especially. But I mean, look, nobody's pretending the 80s wasn't all about cocaine. 100%. Like the world ran on cocaine in the 80s, in the early 90s. Then it was looked down upon in the very clean. We're going to be better than the last generation 90s. And then the 2000s was all about weed and went back to like LSD and psychedelics again, working our way the other direction. And then now we're back to just constant stoners and sneaking, and cocaine is like back in everything.
I thought microdosing was big now.
Microdosing is very big now, but that is partially for mental health.
Oh. Okay.
Because like Jeff did do some microdosing of mushrooms and it completely reoriented his mind and helped him.
Oh, nice.
And we talked about the idea with, we touched on a couple weeks ago, was ibogaine research into helping PTSD and with especially with the armed service members, because a lot of them cannot fix their brain. Even mushrooms don't 100% help, even though the studies into mushrooms and stuff like that have been great, and then ayahuasca trips and stuff like that. But ibogaine has been proven outside of the U.S. because we're apparently made it illegal for some reason, for helping reorient the mind, especially when it comes to addiction and PTSD and things like that. So when we're talking about a culture of addiction, I think that spawning from the 60s, the Love Children and all that, skipped over a bit in the 80s and came back in the late 90s and promoted massively throughout the 2000s until current. Like, how many alcohol commercials, how many vape stores exist where you can just go buy literal THC vapes? Well, maybe not in Texas anymore, but, you know, they're trying to fight that legally. Right
K2. We're not K2. What is it now? Kratom? No.
Oh, don't get me started.
No, not Kratom. The other one.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Delta 7. There.
Delta anything. But the problem is what they started doing. They were doing loopholes. I talked about it on the show before. They took the loopholes with CBD and carved them wide open to shove literal weed through. Like Jessica goes to a couple of the CBD stores around here, and she's buying like literal like weed gummies. Like, it's not CBD at all. It's not marketed to CBD. It's straight THC gummies. I was like, that was not in legislation. And then But it's a culture of addiction, like we were talking about, and then drinking probably. They say drinking in young people has come down in recent years.
I could see that
because they found other addictions,
more awareness. Wow. And more options, probably. Yeah.
Probably more options.
And more legalization of those options in other states.
Yeah. Once again, getting high is a little bit easier than getting drunk, which is weird.
And yeah, I could see that.
So, I mean, at the age of 14, when you're doing whichever drugs you were doing, illegally, obviously, but like imagine if it was easily available.
Oh yeah, I mean,
how different the outcome would be for you.
Yes, and this was what I was trying to get to earlier was, despite problems that we all have growing up, you can't deny that when there's drugs and alcohol involved, it's a slippery slope, and anybody with mental health or not can lead to the depth, the pit.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, when was it? It was a few years before I realized I got to stop this. This is stupid. I'm wasting my life. I mean, some people, they don't grow out of it or they grow a dependency on it. They learn to live with it and also financially and emotionally, maybe even spiritually depend on certain things. But
spiritually is a thing that does get ignored a little bit, I think. The people will develop almost a religion around their addiction.
So thankfully, my story has a happier ending.
Well, it hasn't ended yet.
That's true.
Yeah, it's still a story. It has a happy middle.
Yes, happy middle.
Because that was literally pretty much half your age ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the new hairdo, it's a new chapter, Kevin.
There you go.
New chapter.
There you go.
So
that's a good way to do it. Okay, so let me ask you, though, when it came to that level, what was your kick in the pants? What was your bottom?
For which part?
When you were young and decided to stop. What was your rock bottom, do you think?
Well, there was an incident. You know, I said earlier nothing life-changing happened, but there was an incident at school that did result in repercussions that I realized, oh, this can get worse.
Okay.
It was like a halfway between juvie and not juvie, I guess.
Like getting busted with stuff or violent tendencies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting busted. So I was like, and there was other out-of-school activities too that I'm not going to dwell on, but it wasn't good, so...
But it was kind of the kick in the pants, rock bottom that you needed to...
It was the awakening, I'd say, yeah. And then somewhere between like 5 years after that, I had the awakening of before
graduation time, give or take?
No, afterwards, because it took a little time. Anyways, before that happened, before I got super mega involved in video games, I remember that I used to read a lot of books.
Okay.
This is what happened. All it took, for whatever reason, one day, I used to read a lot of books. Hey, I used to do good in school when I tried.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy told me he's applying to Harvard and Yale. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And he said, because I can try. And if I don't, I'll land somewhere else. And I said, okay, this guy can do that. I can do it too.
Yeah.
So then I committed myself to graduating into some science degree. I didn't know what it was at the time.
Okay.
I think it was like physical therapy. But I wanted to not be like my sister who got a degree and it's a paperweight. So,
yeah.
Or not a paperweight, but you know what I mean. So
the irony being it's a piece of paper.
So I wanted to do something that was practical. And then I said, I can't do physical therapy because I have to go back to school. So what can I do that is a bachelor's that I can be in science and get paid and then like not have a fear of losing demand? And then I said, and if I want to go back to school, there's options.
You were so much more methodical when it came to schooling than me. I was just like, I'm bored with this thing. I want to go do this other thing. And then I never graduated.
Well, I thought about the field of nursing and I had to do some digging. And I said, there's a lot of different fields. So,
I mean, literally,
voila.
It's a huge field.
Now I'm here.
Welcome. Your medical degree has led you here to the Nerd Cave. I'm just kidding. But no, I mean, you're already smarter than I was at that age, because I didn't go to college for. I mean, I went to community college, but I did some in-school classes and stuff like that, just because I was always in advanced placement.
Oh, nice.
And so I did a couple of college credit courses, English and something. I don't remember the other one because that's how much I didn't care.
That's huge, though. I mean, it's so hard at that time to think, what's the payoff of this?
Yeah. Well, because I also had no idea what I wanted to do. For the most part, I was an artist, so I wanted to do something along in the creative things, and I was into computer generated stuff, and CG was like massive at that point. Like Pixar had started down that revolution, and all of the stuff from like 93 to 99, all those huge movies, and then like TV shows like Transformers, Beast Wars, Reboot, stuff like that. Any of those shows from Mainframe.
Godzilla too, right?
Well, I'm talking about CG animated stuff. So I wanted to go that direction.
Okay.
And so that's what I did go to school for, but I had to get through all my stupid core classes, and I hated that.
Yeah.
Because I just felt like more school. It's like, I want to get into the thing I want to learn. Never got that far. Like, got into like web design, which was interesting in and of itself. It turns out I'm really bad at web design.
What is that, your junior year?
No, that was
Sophomore
my
year?
freshman year of college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is already onto it. I was big into art and stuff like that all throughout school. Like I was into all that. Like I was at the point, I even talked about it. Did I talk about that on the show? I don't remember. But I was one of those kids or students, I should say, because I wasn't really a kid at that point. I was so far away from the rest of the class that the teacher would just let me do whatever I wanted.
Oh, okay. I remember that kid in art class.
Yeah. So basically, it's like
doing your own thing.
Yeah, literally doing your own thing, because the teacher's like, no, you need to be over there because you're the real art student.
There you go.
I'm just teaching these kids how to color things.
Just babysitting them.
I'm teaching them basic color theory and hoping that this room isn't a mess later. Now, look, so like if I was in I took a sculpting class because I wanted to get into that. That teacher was okay, but she also on recommendation from my normal art teacher, she's like, let him do whatever he wants. It's fine. So
You got the art pass.
So basically, yeah, it's like when you've got one teacher who just recognizes your talent and tells the other ones, just get out of the way and like keep him somewhat on track with the thing you need him to do. But otherwise, he's gonna it's gonna be great. I mean, I was okay at sculpting. I got better, but everything I made ended up getting destroyed or stolen.
Oh.
So it was what it was. Well, somebody's jerks in the class. Like in my painting class, dude, I got real good at painting because I already was learning Bob Ross like stuff with my mom. It's because my mom was the artist, so I learned that stuff, and I always needed it. One of the things, especially for my mental health, was having some kind of creative outlet. So having all these art courses especially in different styles, trying to find the thing I wanted to do. And that's how I led to like the CG and stuff like that. So once I got into computers, which I was already involved in because of my parents, both my parents were professionals, had access to computers. From the time I was little, there was a computer in the house. And I learned how to use it. I learned how to do stuff on it. So I was using original Mac Paint. Original Mac Paint, which was in black and white. Doing graphic design as a little kid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I basically went into graphic design. How did I scratch my arm? Either way, work. I get beat up at work and don't even notice it until later. Like, that time where you get a cut or a scratch and you don't notice it until you shower.
Yeah.
You're like, ow. Huh. Okay. Dude, I had a big old scratch on my leg that had crusted blood on it. I'm like, when did that even happen? I was like, how did I not notice that happening? And why did I not even see it till 2 days later? I was like, holy crap. Either way, sorry. Tequila's kicking in.
Oh.
But that was a big thing for me, was a creative outlet as a creative person. Like you were talking about gaming and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
So other than just as a escapism, was there other parts to that brought you happiness and brought you to a better place?
At what time?
At any point, was that not just because oh, life sucks, I'm gonna play video games, but was there a point where because you talk about the streaming stuff like that, where gaming was a source of where is it actual source of happiness versus distraction?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I do. I'll be honest, Kevin. I mean, the addiction part with let's get this straight.
Yeah.
Food, video games, media, screens.
Yeah.
It can be addiction.
Who you telling?
Okay, I didn't know.
I'm fat. I'm super fat. I've got a bar cart of alcohol. I literally live on the internet in here.
Right,
It's if the booze was in here and the refrigerator, I would literally be all of those things in one room.
I just need the urinal. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Well, it's right there. If I could walk through the closet to get to the toilet, I would. The toilet's right there. Either way. But no, I got you there, dude.
I will say, after graduating and having an income at all, it was nice to kind of go through that creative outlet a little bit. I don't want to say am I a poser, or can I say I had a short stint because
in what?
Making the videos, streaming, like I streamed the other day, nobody's watching. I still enjoyed it.
Okay, so I'll tell you this, everyone's a poser.
Oh.
Makes it easier. Everyone's a poser.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you realize everyone's a poser, then it's fine.
So, but me and my wife, we did do a few videos, I'd say under 20, but it was good. But it was also during that night shift. It was so bad. I never got to see my wife.
Yeah.
When I saw her, I was sleeping or she was sleeping, vice versa.
Yeah.
But we talked about getting back into it, and the addiction with video games and screen time was something I didn't control until less than a year ago.
Like how you had to look at your watch. You're like, what day is it?
Yeah.
It was like Monday. Monday I started controlling it again.
No,
Saturday through Sunday.
It's been less than a year, so let that sink in.
So a lot of that changed over. So,
It's been a while that I've been struggling with this, even through, professionally, academically, relationship. I was succeeding at certain things, but it was still weighing me down, and it was a breaking point there too within my own relationship in my own life, and being able to balance it now. Even this right here, what I'm doing now. Yeah. This didn't happen. I was celibate from alcohol for, I think...
I ruined it, guys. I gave him a whole bunch of booze before this.
No, it was... I want to say... I met my wife when I turned 20. And I didn't have alcohol again in any capacity until I was... I don't want to say 26. So
well, at least you already had a history with it. It wasn't like a new, exciting thing to you, like a lot of 21-year-olds, a lot of college kids.
Yes, and that's what I was trying to allude to earlier. Like, thankfully, I had my controlled, outlandish episodes safely by God's grace.
You got all your experiment with in college out when you were young.
Yes, and that way, whenever I have the capacity to, or even worse, after graduating, I could be the middle of Houston every night, every weekend, and God knows what would happen to me, but that's not the kind of person I want to be. And I'm grateful for that. And I truly believe that everything just lined up for this reason. But now that we're here, I can control this responsibly. Yeah. And I'm still trying to balance the screen time responsibly.
Dude, that's an addiction that nobody realizes they have, because basically we're all cyborgs now. I mean, you and I are both wearing devices on our wrist. We're both. This is a new thing for me because I wanted to be able to monitor stuff whenever I was working out, which I need to get back to doing because, as previously discussed, I'm very fat.
It can check your SpO2 when you're sleeping too, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Which is actually good because I was trying to watch my sleeping habits for sure. What? But either way, no. Basically, like. Oh, okay. I was like, what is that? Oh, that's a BS message. Okay. Love all these bot messages I get on Instagram. It's so much fun. But hey, stay up there, phone. But no, it's an addiction thing because it was so insidious.
Yes.
Not just the fact that you have technology and you can watch any video. Believe me, I'm addicted to YouTube. I'd watch it literally all day. All day long I'm watching YouTube. I come home, put on something slightly different, but a lot of times I'm just watching YouTube. It's infinite media, which we didn't have growing up.
Yeah.
We used to go outside and play with sticks.
Now
we play an app on our phone where our character is playing with a stick.
Kids implode now when they get their phone taken away from them.
And luckily that culture is changing because people have realized, we don't want our kids growing up in this because we see what we're like. But then there's the opposite side of it where it's just instead of being plopped down in front of the TV, you're handed a tablet. You're handed a phone.
iPad kids,
100%. Used to have helicopter parents. Now we've got iPad parent, and which is not parenting at all. It's a whole new level of neglect.
Yeah.
But also the fact that you have the internet at your hands.
Yes. Oh, it's so dangerous, and it's only gotten worse.
Dude, Gen Beta is going to be so screwed up.
Is that the next?
So Alpha is the current generation. The newest one. Beta is going to be
like 2020's Gen Alpha.
Yes. Yeah. So the current young people are Gen Alpha.
Okay.
After that, obviously, will be Gen Beta. So whenever they get that 10, 12 years.
Oh, okay.
Dude, well, Gen Alpha is already the smallest one. It's the only one in recent generations that has gone down in number. There's only there's 70 million in. I'm sorry, we're down from 70 million to like 40 million. That's how much smaller Gen Alpha is. And in theory, Gen Beta will be bigger, but they're going to be the kids who grew up on. Well, because you got to remember it's offset. So you got to remember. So Gen, like the millennials, you know, all have kids for the most part now. But then you've got the ones after them, like Gen Z. They're the ones who are basically on the fence of even having kids. Gen Alpha, which is why they basically don't have any. Gen X is still floating about. The problem is, and I talked about this, I don't know if it was on the last show or not. Who was I telling this? Oh, it was at the bar, actually. That's funny. If you'll notice the resurgence, like you're 30, the resurgence of stuff from the 90s and early 2000s.
Okay. Like retro?
It's not retro. The problem is that because Gen Alpha is so small, there's nothing new to be made, and Gen X, the millennials, and even the beginning of Gen Z all grew up on stuff from the 90s and early 2000s. That was their
like
stuff.
Creative things. Like
anything.
New IPs.
Media, IPs, clothing brands, all that stuff, style, everything. Everything from those generations, they're now putting out again because they know the next generations are going to be so small, there's no one to sell to. But you've got these other generations that will still be here for another 40 years, give or take.
Oh, and
they're going to buy. They're going to keep buying the same crap because that's what they grew up on. Right. You don't develop anything new because there's no one to sell it to. So Gen Alpha is going to be dealing with so many mental issues because they have zero identity. Like every generation has an identity. Gen Z and Gen Alpha lack identity because they're going to grow up in the social media age. Alpha is going to be worse because they're growing up in the nostalgia age.
Okay.
So imagine in the 70s, there was a resurgence of stuff from the 30s and 40s. Like it all came back again. So literally they recycled the stuff from the 40s and the 70s because there was no one new to sell anything to. So imagine how crazy that would be growing up literally 3 decades old.
I mean, could you argue and say that is it alpha or beta right now, you said?
Alpha is the youngest.
Right now, right?
Beta will be the one after.
You could say alpha AI, maybe?
Gotta hope not. Beta 100%.
Let's come back.
Beta 100% will grow up will be able to have anything at their fingertips because of AI. Media will be dead by the time they come around. Standard.
Chat, remind me in 2 years of this video.
It won't even be around. It's fine. This podcast is in fact AI. There is no Victor. There is no Victor. There is no Shoki.
Yeah.
I did think about actually because my software has the ability to create AI voice from voice or text to voice. I can actually sample my own voice into it, so I could actually just write scripts in my own voice and my co-host voice. So I could probably feed an hour's worth of Hefe or Jeff into it, and then like whenever he's not here, I can just do some AI scripts for him to fill in if I want to.
Yeah.
Think about that. And then now with Google VO3, they're literally making mini movies. And it's insane.
Yes.
And talk about mental health. So just on this tangent, nobody knows what's real anymore.
Yes. This is going to be it's already been a problem before.
Yeah.
Let's say 2 years ago. It's something my wife told me was AI ethics. And God. We see this.
There are none.
We see this a lot with technology or medicine, that legislation takes time to, it's always, lags behind. Well, then the ethics, it's even more behind. Yeah. So There are none, like you said.
Yeah, there are no AI. Well, there's a tiny bit of AI ethics. So I'm gonna go off on a rabbit trail here for a second because it's something that's been bothering me for a long time about a friend of mine. It's nothing he's doing. It's an attitude he has, and it's we don't kink shame and we don't judge people on the things they want as long as they're not technically hurting anybody.
Okay, who is this guy?
I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm not going to call him out loud, but it's a friend of mine. And there's nothing wrong with him wanting to do whatever he wants to do. That's the personal freedoms, whatever.
Okay.
But in the world of AI, when you can create anything you want to look at for personal use, there's a certain type of person, pedophiles, that have access to this technology as well. So talk about AI ethics. Where is the line when it comes to generating artificial child pornography for pedophiles? Talk about where is that line? Does it exist? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
I don't know. I mean,
and I don't want to go on a giant rabbit trail here.
Yeah,
but that is now super relevant.
Yes, I've heard about it in the news regarding like high schoolers, college age students of AI swapping bodies.
Yeah, I mean,
faces.
you just feed in the images and then tell it to do whatever.
Yeah, so it's gonna lag behind, and I mean, how is the crackdown now on pedophiles? I don't know personally.
I mean, better than it was, but also not as significant as it should be.
I think that cybersecurity is really gonna have to get beefed up with AI. Every section.
But here's the thing. As long as you're not doing it in public, they say it's fine. But where's the moral line when you just have your chat GPT on your phone, right?
I think it's still illegal. I mean, whether we're doing things...
But there's no kid. It's fake.
Oh.
Think about it that way. It's not a real person, so why does it matter? Well, because the idea, and this is a thing that someone brought up, I think it was... not Rand Paul, the other one, his dad, Ron Paul. Basically, they were talking about abortion. The idea is it shouldn't be illegal. It should be unthinkable. Child porn should be the same way. Just making it illegal has not changed anything. Making it unthinkable, which means a change in culture, would be the way to go. To the point where people won't even consider that as a thing to even do. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think that's where... Just talk about mental health. It's like just I mean, as somebody who was sexually assaulted as a child, I'm sure, once again, I have some trauma in there. Luckily it was only the once, but it was enough for me to, remember it and probably be affected by it permanently. But the idea now that we live in a world where the term MAP was created.
What's MAP?
Minor attracted person. Oh. And then these same kind of people start falling into other groups.
Yeah.
They start being recognized as a specialty group. We have to protect them because they're specials. It's like, no.
Yeah. No. This is a problem.
No. Anyways. So, sorry, going to go back to where we were, talk about everything else, because I wanted to ask you about therapy, because you did mention you did go to therapy.
Ooh, that was a rabbit hole for sure.
I wanted to just say it out loud. I may or may not leave it in the show, but it's a thought that's been on my mind for a long time. Yeah. I've yet to bring it up to anybody, and that was just the time. But,
okay.
So,
therapy?
I've never been to therapy.
Okay.
Other than just talking things through with people probably who know a little bit more, especially our pastors, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Jeff went to a little bit of therapy to get on meds to help him redirect things in his life, but he went through the VA, which is already a mess. So what led you to getting into therapy?
My wife.
Okay. So she kicked you in the balls and said, "You're going to go."
Yes. And the problem is, Kevin, I did not go for a very long time.
Okay. So from the time that she said, "Hey, you need therapy," to the time you went was how long?
Ooh.
I mean, like, seriously, not just...
Ballpark or...
Yeah.
Probably about... Well, okay, funny enough, before I tell you, we had mentioned before we got married, we've been together almost 11 years.
Yeah, you said roughly, yeah.
And we've been together... Oh, wait, math. Quick math.
Quick math. You said 20 or 30. I mathed that
but
one
we've been married only a year.
Yeah.
And funny enough, in the time that we were together before getting married, she said, and we both agreed, we need to do marriage counseling before we get married.
Yes.
But we never did.
Okay.
And then it came to the point of, you need to go to therapy.
You need to go to therapy.
She would tell me that. And then I never did.
Okay.
And she would see her therapist. Meh. And then.
But she was in therapy.
Yeah, she would go intermittently.
Okay, but it wasn't like we're going weekly. We're going.
No.
Okay, so it's
definitely
as needed.
And then I did start going when things happened in our marriage. And I would probably say.
Okay.
Probably about 2 years from when she told me seriously, directly, you need to go, and then for me do it.
That was literally the thought I had in my head. I bet it was about 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're putting the pieces together.
Well, the way I look at it is if there's an actual ongoing issue, it's probably going to take 2 years to come to a head. Probably on average.
Give or take, probably, yeah.
Yeah. Probably going to take 2 years to come to a head and about 6 months to correct or completely fall apart.
You were onto something. That's a pretty good timeline, I would say, that we went through.
Yeah.
Because it was and I would say 2 years to start going, but it didn't end. So the head, I would argue, took longer to come to a head.
Okay.
But you're on the right track where, yeah, I did see a therapist on and off. It wasn't consistent. And if you haven't been to therapy, there's a thing just like churches called therapy shopping, where you look around for therapists. And I didn't know that was a thing, but I did find a therapist, and I did make commitment to, you're not going to leave unless you address the problem. If everybody's saying the same thing and you keep saying, oh, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Well, the problem may be inside, right?
It's
you may need to point forward.
Yeah.
So
this is the Good Will Hunting situation. The movie Good Will Hunting?
I haven't seen that movie.
What? Okay, so go home today. I know you guys are packing for a trip. Go home tonight. Figure out what streaming services it's on. It's Matt Damon and Robin Williams. It's from like 1998.
Robin Williams.
Good Will Hunting. So it's about a genius kid going, and he's at, I think it's Harvard or Princeton. I forget which one. Which one's in Boston?
What were your options?
Harvard, Princeton.
Harvard.
Okay, so he's at Harvard, but not as a student, as a janitor, but he's a genius in math. Okay. But he's totally messed up. Like
socially?
Horrible. Yeah, socially messed up.
Okay.
So the only way, and he gets into a fight, and he's usually talks his way out of the problems because he's a genius, but he has to go to therapy or else he's going to jail. So the whole point is finding a therapist. There's a whole scene of him going through all the available therapists so that he can not go to jail. So it's so funny that reference is like, yeah, so this person wasn't right for this reason. What happens with one particular therapist is hilarious. And then, of course, landing on Robin Williams' character eventually. So either way, great movie. Also talking about young men and mental health. That's a big thing, especially with when it came to abuse and neglect. Because that's his whole like backstory there. So something you need to check out.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry, I was making sure you didn't need a thing.
Get this phone call.
Okay, go ahead. I will pause because we never want to stop.
Yeah.
Especially good stuff in here. But either way, when it came to the therapy thing, you had to shop around over the course of a while.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. But you did land on somebody who actually...
Yeah, then it came to the head.
Okay.
And then I was committed to therapy and also couples therapy.
Of course.
And that was pivotal. That was huge. And it's something that I wish we would have done a long time prior to.
You mean when you said you were going to?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Imagine if everybody did the thing that they said they would do for their own health when they said they would do it. We'd all be better off. But that's why we need that 2.5 year gap to hopefully fix things or let it all fall apart.
Yep. So it's worked, and also seeing I mean, you don't have to see a psychiatrist, but seeing somebody who can prescribe medications and diagnose.
Because that's the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting diagnosed with dysthymia, I didn't realize I've probably been like this a majority of my life, and probably would have done something different. But it's all good. But now I'm living my best life, and
yeah, I mean, and that is super important, especially if you have a long-term issue, like I have. Like, I deal with depression like fairly well often. I deal with suicidal thoughts, things like that. But that's when I get into spirals. But I recognize when I'm in one, and I do hopefully healthy things to get me out of them, because at least I'm not with my own mental health. I recognize when things are reaching a certain point, and then I try to alter my behavior that I believe is the cause of where I'm at. Because a lot of my issues come from unresolved anger issues and abandonment problems, and then probably whatever weird sexual trauma just due to whatever. But that's not usually a big thing, but it's part of it.
Mixing,
Yeah. But it's like self-diagnose a lot of issues without. But I'd like medication. I know it works for people. Like, was it just antidepressants for you, or?
Yeah, for me, it's antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication.
Okay.
It's like a 2-in-1, but
Yeah.
I think I have a little bit of anxiety too, or fidgeting, but I think the psychiatrist is spot on. At least it's working for me. But I also noticed, and you had mentioned it earlier, is the talking about it, talking about certain things that are like distressing. I have realized it's a positive or healthy coping mechanism that I have, or that I gear towards.
Let me ask you this before we wrap up here, because we got way more time out of this than I actually expected, which is good. But one of the tenets that we were looking at when we started this conversation was basically like men growing up being told, no, you got to be tough, cram down your feelings. And I know, at least in Hispanic culture, there's probably a lot of machismo thing, like you don't cry or whatever, stuff like that. But also the idea that especially modern men have less, like 1 in 5 men have no real friends that they can talk to about stuff, especially other males. Like they feel like to a close level where they can discuss their feelings and like be open and honest with somebody else. Like, was that ever an issue for you? Or did you have
I think so. I didn't really have too many. I guess I kind of fell victim to not really using my resources, but I mean, I didn't really have a phone growing up. I wasn't allowed to have a phone.
Yeah.
And for other reasons, I had a phone taken away from me. So I
might
probably
have been the drugs. Might have been.
I probably didn't have the best friend group, I would say, growing up.
Sure,
I know
sure.
adolescents and young adults really rely on their friend group, which is huge. But
Social
we
circle
didn't really
friends.
talk about those kind. I mean, we were just knuckleheads growing up. But I didn't have. My dad was there, but he was very work all the time, and when he came home, very tired. So I didn't
kind of
really,
like I talked about earlier.
Yeah, I didn't really have somebody to talk to, an older brother or anything. Or my cousin, I said I looked up to him, but I didn't really get online on Facebook or MySpace and hit him up for a message. So I can't think of a positive person to talk to.
So did you ever have anybody other than your wife that you could talk to for your problems?
I mean, I had friends, but I didn't really talk to them about it. And I don't know if it was more cultural or just me being shut down, but I didn't
Probably all
talk
of the
about them.
Probably a little bit of the above.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's kind of a thing of, well, nobody wants to hear my problems. Nobody will care, even if I do, because it's a lot more of a modern issue than we used to have. And I think some of it does come down to basically church falling out of the social norm. Like, because you were surrounded by people who hopefully have similar morals and similar struggles to you. You have a group of people that you're connecting to at the same time of opening yourself up to, well, other things, hopefully. And we got way away from any of that. We stopped talking, in very general, and myself, we stopped talking about our problems. We started finding distractions, and especially with a culture of distraction, whether that's alcohol, drugs, and now screens is the biggest thing. I mean, mind you, as a child of the 80s and 90s, we were babysit by our TVs, because at that point was the 2 professional household began. The 70s was the last real generation of 1 income household. Everything got more expensive in the 80s and 90s. Now both parents were working. I think it's like third wave feminism. Basically, women, you need to be professionals. You need to be CEOs. You need to get out there. So kids were growing up without a mother and a father in the household, much like myself. And I think a little bit to your degree.
A little bit.
I mean, I had a father in the household, but did I? You know what I mean? From the ages of like 0 to 6, they both worked. So like I was literally dropped off at daycare and then school. And then my parents picked me up whatever time
Rinse
that
and repeat,
was.
yeah.
And then like basically we had dinner and then would watch a little TV, or I'd be in my room doing whatever.
Yep.
Literally not a part of anything of a family. Like, hey, cool, thanks, bye, you know, whatever. And then once we moved, my dad was always around, but then my mom wasn't. So then I was like, okay, whatever. So talking about my feelings is something that basically only came around in my like mid 20s with my like really close friends. But then as I lost friends groups due to breakups usually, or getting fired from certain jobs and changing everything else, is like, okay, well, hell, that's when I got super isolated. And that's when like, and I talked about it on one of the review. All the shows are on top of each other right now for the last 2 weeks. But basically, I gave myself a time limit of 2 years. If I don't have a significant change in my life, I was back at my parents' house, single, lost my friends group again, all this other stuff, basically only digging so much into the Gundam building hobby was my only outlet for anything. I said, like, okay, and if I don't have anything in 2 years, I'm done. I'm checking out. It's over. No problem. And then right near the end of that, Jessica came along. So basically made the biggest significant positive change in my life, gave me something to live for, gave me something to advance myself for, you know, started giving a shit, even though I was still lonely, because basically I get off work and I come home and I hang out by myself all day. And then to the point where I developed a channel on YouTube where I sit and talk to myself about, about my hobbies. I mean, made a tiny bit of money at it and had a little bit of an audience, but then I quit doing that because I wanted to talk to people again. COVID was over, or in the midst of COVID, kind of. Couldn't see people in real life anymore. So I started the podcast, started talking on live streaming and stuff like that, because I wanted to talk to people again. I wanted to connect with people again, especially if I found myself having issues. And then like if I don't have a person sitting here to talk my issues through, I'm going to talk to the internet about it and see what happens. So that's basically how that went. And that's how I got here,
Nice.
you know? And so like, while I still struggle with things, I have somewhat healthy outlets for them, instead of just burying myself in plastic crack, basically, like this room. Like, because I barely have expanded this in the last like 6 months.
Nice.
Now the 3 years prior, actually 10 years prior, just, you know, more and more crap. Now it's just to the point where like I buy certain things that make me happy, or I'm advancing technology for the podcast because I sink the money and the time and the effort into the things that I feel is going to help me, not just give me cool stuff to look at. That's part of it, because that's always going to be that weird little level of addiction that I go back to, because it's like, I'm not addicted to drugs. I don't do drugs. I like alcohol, but I don't like being drunk. So collecting is the thing that fills my soul to a degree, but now I'm filling it with people instead. Again, mind you. Now, if all this goes crashing down again and I lose my friend group again, I don't know where I'm going to end up. But, you know, at the same time, you know, just being able to sit down and especially talk to other people who struggle, and at least who are willing to talk about it, especially this month, was the whole point. And I wanted to get Andre in here too, but he's been very busy. And then actually we were going to be joined by someone else, but his schedule just got wonky really fast. Like, he was going to come on Monday and talk about his mental struggles and stuff like that too. But I want to make this kind of more normal, like that guys will sit and talk about their struggles, not just, especially it's one thing for you and me to be sitting in there talking, which is good.
Yeah.
But to express it where other people can hear it and see it and know that it's not going to, it's a big thing, because other people might have these struggles. I know, like, we're primarily listened to by dudes. There's a couple females that listen. Shout out to them. But it feels like men, and it's statistically, men are ignored. Men's needs are ignored mentally, at least mentally. Physically, yes, obviously we got plenty of the medical stuff for that, but men's mental health has been so drastically ignored and shut to the side, and then we just accepted it. as men, we're like, fine, nobody gives a crap about our problems. We'll just keep on keeping on until we don't, until bad things happen. Whether our marriages fall apart or we lose our job, we go to jail, whatever the new rock bottom is, and then we just the ultimate bad stuff happens usually because men commit suicide more than anybody else, and that's a huge thing. 600,000 a year.
Yeah,
and nobody bothers with that number, except for veterans, realistically, because they focus on that a lot. You know, at least 22 a day, just veterans who don't get help.
we need to talk about it more.
Yeah, we need to talk about it. We need to normalize it.
Yeah.
Because it needs to not only just be behind closed doors in a doctor's office. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, if they're going to help you deal with stuff, that's right. But talk about the fact that you're going through it at all. And that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. And that's why I'm thanking you for coming over and doing this with me, even though you just slightly got in trouble for possibly running a little bit late. But
hey, we got to do it again next time.
But at least you don't live very far away.
There you go.
Yeah. So obviously you're welcome to come back and we'll talk about more nerdy stuff.
Let's go.
In the future, or more just in life in general. Either way, that's fine. Because you are into anime and other things like that, and gaming, obviously. But I mean, if you ever want to do YouTube stuff, let me know, because obviously that's what I do here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a gaming setup, but it's not that hard. And you know how it goes. We got OBS, we got all this stuff. So, except for Nintendo, are they still locking down Nintendo streaming? I don't remember if they're still doing that.
I'm not up to date, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but I don't remember if they still were doing that.
Nintendo Ninja's coming out.
Yeah, because especially with the Switch 2 and all that.
Yeah.
I don't have one yet, but you know, that's what it is.
I'll wait.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks for checking out this extra here for Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Thanks to Victor for coming out here. And then if you feel like checking out his channel, it was
Bean and Potato.
Bean and Potato. Some of my favorite burritos. Not joking. That's literally kind of what I get.
Standard.
Yeah, bean, potato, egg, little thing there, or a little carnitas, something. Either way. So, guys, make sure to do the like and subscribe thing here to this channel. If you want to contact the show, especially about Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, by all means, write into the email, and that is nowyoumade.it awkward@gmail.com. It's in the description down below. Or if you want to just send in a message and talk about the stuff that bothers you or things you've been through, you can do so at the Facebooks. Or, I guess, on Instagram, technically speaking. I don't know if you can send messages through the Facebook or through Instagram. Voice messages specifically. But we'll see you guys next time. And since you don't know about this on the show, I will set up with "and with that," and then we say unison K bye.
Okay.
So all right, guys. And with that, K bye.